What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is Does It Suck? The show where we take a deep dive look at a new game and see what's good or bad about it. Today we're discussing the First Descendant. This is a new looter shooter that just dropped, and currently it is the biggest game on Steam, but the early impressions are very mixed. Some people are calling it pay to win, completely busted, or the best game ever, depending on who you ask. So let's break down the positives and the negatives and what I think about it thus far after playing about 6.5 hours of it. Now, first and foremost, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So, of course, since this game is completely free to play, I'm sure that stuff is going to change. I think this is a good start. I can't completely hate it because I paid $0 for it, but this is certainly the kind of game that focuses on the grind. If you've ever played something like Destiny or Warframe, these are the kind of games that try to get you to keep logging in, to keep leveling up. There are different styles of mission, there is different environments and 9 different territories to explore, but a lot of this just comes down to constantly trying to chase that next big upgrade. So in the world of the First Descendants, there has been a 100-year-long war between these otherworldly creatures, the Vulgus and the Colossi. They're essentially interdimensional invaders that have come to Earth and started to completely wipe out everything. So we're trying to fight back and looking for some sort of secret weapon to finally push these people off of our plane of existence. Now, I'll be honest, the story in this is incredibly paper thin because it's kind of just an excuse to keep shooting stuff and to fight some rather big bosses. So this is an always online experience. It's the kind of game where there are hubs, there's social areas, but this actually brings me to the part of this that I enjoyed the most by far. There are 3 separate classes you can play as: a support, a tank, or sort of the damage dealer. I decided to be the damage dealer whose speciality is grenades. And when you drop into this, because it is a living, always online ecosystem, you keep just running into other players. The actual mission objectives we do are usually pretty simplistic. Either defend a point, kill a boss, or sometimes just trying to wipe out a particular amount of an enemy. Sometimes you're planting a bomb, sometimes you're defusing a bomb. It's not really that deep, but what's cool about this is that sometimes these missions can be tough, and it's cool to have other people randomly back you up. Since the First Descendant is already blowing up on Steam and Xbox and PlayStation 5 and everywhere that it is, it seems like a lot of people are definitely giving it a test, and it does have full crossplay. It's kind of cool to see such a living world instantly. Like, I think it's kind of cool that when I'm failing at a mission, sometimes I'm getting completely overwhelmed, other people will just show up and help me kill stuff and actually win. I kind of like those games that make it feel like it really does have this vibe that we're actually trying to defend these points. It really feels like a living world, even if it is a bit cringy and cheesy at times. Now, let's talk microtransactions before anything else. Before we start to dive into all the leveling systems and stuff like that, yes, I do believe this game can be counted as pay to win. In the cash shop, you can purchase XP upgrades and all sorts of crafting materials and stuff. So since this game is something that does have a complete free-to-play model, you could just technically swipe your credit card and spend 20 or 60 bucks to stuff to get actually good-looking skins, better costumes, and of course, a big boost to your play experience. Now, in my 6.5 hours, I did not spend a penny on this, but I can definitely see that this is the kind of game that, because it is about that grind, the entire fun loop gets sped up if you're willing to play, and that is because while you're playing this, everything is based on power scaling. Some enemies have extra shield or defense or offense, and so there is a lot of different styles of equipment. There is just trinkets you can equip to get more health or more shield. There's weapons that all can be leveled up in crazy amounts of ways. So since this is just so incredibly grindy, there are like 10 separate ways that you are constantly progressing your your character. Your individual guns actually have an XP bar, mastery levels, which are like your passive stat bonuses, those can level up. There are individual mods that you can craft and customize and level up, so each individual skill on your character can also just get boosted, and even just raw stats. There's just straight up character levels beyond anything else, which are general power. So what this essentially means is that while you're playing this game, if you did choose to buy the microtransactions, I think you're going to have a lot more fun, which does kind of suck. Already, just even in my 6.5 hours, progressing through the first 2 of the 9 areas and beating some bosses and stuff, I definitely felt like if I was higher level and had more crafting materials, I would be shooting stuff a lot faster and definitely having more fun. So going against the Vulgust and the Colossi, these are like 2 very different styles of aliens. The Colossi are the mega boss encounters where you get to drop into like a little instant zone with other players and you have to try and defeat them. Now, a lot of times they have different weak points. You can scan them to see the parts of their shield that can be popped off or parts of their body where they're the most susceptible to critical hits. Now, I'll be honest, I think this stuff is incredibly flashy and very, very cool. The entire combat in this, everything feels very tight. The aiming, the shooting, the special abilities feel great. And when you take these guys down, not only do you get a loot pinata, do you get tons and tons of gear for killing these bosses, but I just think they look great. They're just fun to actually kill, which is definitely the most important part. Now, thus far, the Vulgus have been more of the minion types. They're random units that are also sort of humanoids that are usually trained to shoot back or punch you in the face or cut you up with a sword. While exploring the map, there are the typical objectives I mentioned, which are like trying to take over bases or defend a status point or try and hacking a panel and stuff like that. And when you're doing that is when you're encountering a lot of the Vulgus, but there are special elite Vulgus that will also show up that sometimes you have to deal with. So each of the characters that we can play have different special abilities. Now, this guy, the damage dealer dude, his thing is grenades. I've got like gravity grenades that can pull in a bunch of people to weaken them. I can just throw normal explosive grenades, or I can also do this thing where my ultimate ability is this grenade launcher that sort of shoots tiny suns. And let me tell you, that thing really packs a punch. But I think what I do enjoy about this is that it is cool that there is just so many cooldowns, so much ammunition. You can equip 3 guns at a time, and maybe later on I'll be able to swap out my special abilities. I mean, I don't know. I've only played about 6 hours of it, but thus far, I've really enjoyed actually customizing my different styles of weapon, going from sniper rifles to a beam cannon, or just different styles of hand cannon, or just big heavy machine guns. I think that this does have a good amount of impact to it. Like, for a free-to-play game, at this point I can say that it's interesting. Like, if you're looking for a game that's going to occupy tons and tons of time, I think some people, this is going to be their main go-to grind. I guess the biggest detriment is that I think the world itself does feel kind of flat. I think the color palette is incredibly basic. I wish that we had some sort of general outfit that didn't look terrible. The fact that you have to spend microtransactions to look cool at all, like, I know that's the point, but it sucks that so much of this game is about spending money. Every costume, every cosmetic, every part of the battle pass, because yes, this has a microtransaction store and separately a battle pass. Like, games like this are so based around the monetization, and it's just accidentally fun in the process. I have enjoyed it, but it definitely also doesn't run very good. So this gameplay is on the PlayStation 5. I've had technical pop-ins, I've had frame rate dips everywhere, and I've heard the frame rate is incredibly bad on PC and also on Xbox. This game had like a 9-month-long beta. I'm not sure how the heck you have not managed to optimize this better after so many years of work, but I will say, first impressions, it's a fun game. if you're bored and if you're broke. I only played this by myself, but even in just this random day of playing it, grinding it, and leveling up, I actually had more fun than I thought. It's cool to delve into the dungeons, which are like sort of based on the story itself, but you get to go through like little tiny crypts and tombs and underground mining excavation stuffs with other random players, using your grapple hook to try and traverse areas and double jumping across pits and stuff like that. The First Descendant is the kind of free-to-play game that, from the surface, it does seem pretty decent. Maybe it sucks once you get 10 hours into it, but you know what? I think I had an alright time with it. Will I keep playing? I don't know. I'll probably play this for like a week just for funsies until something actually good comes out. Because to me, free-to-play always has that big, just ominous cloud of, okay, are they going to break it? Are they going to invent new crafting systems later that completely invalidate my character? But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts because it is a game that I've been curious about. It impressed me enough to warrant the install. But what do you guys think about the First Descendant? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Oh man, I saw so many funny names. I feel like in any free-to-play game, you see people named Blunts for Life. I saw Kim Bong-un. Just so many silly weed names for sure. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.